every person who is charged with a criminal offense is entitled to defend himself in person or by a legal practitioner of his own choice.
Remember that an individual is entitled to remain silent.
Every citizen in Nigeria is entitled to maintain a private life.
You are approaching a military checkpoint or a police checkpoint without knowing that it's against or it offends them and subject you to a frog jump. That is wrong.
Hello dear compliments of the season, beloved viewer, and you are welcome to Justify Nigeria. On today's episode of the program, we are going to be looking at the refusal of Mr. President to appear before the National Assembly. My name is Anozie Chinomso. One of the major reasons why one seeks for political elected position is to serve the people. This is because service with passion is the hallmark of an excellent leadership. But in a situation where our leaders fail in service to humanity and further characterize their style of leadership with intimidation and arrogance, it gives rise to monumental failure. The level of insecurity in Nigeria increases on a geometric progression on a daily basis, to the extent that one cannot sleep with his two eyes closed, especially in the northern part of the country. This was one of the major reasons why the National Assembly invited Mr. President, General Muhammadu Buhari, to come and explain to Nigerians on the plans he has to tackle the insecurity challenges in this country. However, Mr. President gave Nigerians and indeed the world the shock of their lives when he refused to honor the invitation. Opinions are divided, however, on this issue. Why some say that the National Assembly has no right to invite the president, some say that they have the right. What could be the reason for the refusal of the president? Is the Attorney General of the Federation has the right in law to advise Mr. President not to honor the invitation? With me in the studio to discuss this and lots more is Barrister Francis Moses Nwora. He's a member of Unity Bar, dispute resolution specialist, information technology, intellectual property and competition law consultant. Barrister Moses, you're welcome to the program.
I appreciate you, Reverend.
Thank you very much. Some weeks ago, we heard about the summoning of Mr. President by National Assembly. But before we go to that, what are the duties of a president according to our constitution? Our president or president of Nigeria, in this case, General Muhammadu Buhari, does he have any duty at all enshrined in the constitution?
Thank you, and I greet you, my viewers. Talking about the functions,
yes,
or the power,
yes,
of the Nigerian president, the person of President General Muhammadu Buhari, constitutionally,
yes,
their powers.
Do we have them?
We have.
You can cite it. If you have a copy of the
that's
constitution,
why we have.
Please, you can
this
cite
is just
it.
the guide.
Yes, you can
This is our
cite
guide,
it.
yes.
Yes, if we wish to, we'll understand.
When we talk about, the powers are provided for. Let me even be able, for the purpose of our viewers at home and those watching us, we have powers being assigned to different cadres of the government, organs of government. We talk about the National Assembly. We talk about the executive,
legislature,
and the legislature,
and judiciary.
So and the judiciary. So if you look at the section 4, goes for the National Assembly. We go to 5, executive, which the president now oversees. Okay. Then we talk about section 6, that talks about the judiciary. No, by virtue of section 5 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, you see where it says that the power, section 5 now, subject to the provision of this Constitution, the executive powers of the Federation shall consist of all this one, be vested in the president, and may subject as I said. So you can see now the power is provided for. But then if you're talking about the functions, now talking about the functions of the president is found in chapter 6
of the same constitution.
Of the same constitution. So if you know, I'm trying to now differentiate between the section and the chapter.
Yes.
Because this section 5 of that talks about the power is found under chapter 1.
Okay, where
of the
he derives
Constitution,
his power.
where he derives the power now to be able to carry out the functions under the chapter 6 of the 1999 Constitution. So among some of the functions, these are something that are not enumerated. There is no particular sections now under the chapter 6 of the 1999 Constitution that says, okay, the functions of the president shall be all this. No, there is no specific. But by virtue of what he does, talking about the appointment of the ministers, talking about preparation of the budget, talking about passing of service chiefs, talking about all those ministerial appointments, powers to make budget and all those. So these are the functions, these are the duties, these are the things he does under the 1999 Constitution, and is found in chapter 6 of the 1999 Constitution.
So protection of life and properties of the citizen, is it one of his
because
duties?
when they say the Constitution, look at it, the power now that says is vested, subject to the provision of this, the executive powers of the Constitution shall be vested in the president and may subject us. Now if you go back again to the section 1 that talks about the overriding power of the Constitution, section 1 that says the upholding of this Constitution is provided for and is vested in the president, who is the chief. You understand?
Yes.
Who is the chief of the law officer? Talking about, when I say the chief, we're talking about the arm of executive generally.
Yes.
So those works, those functions, those duties now being carried out by the executive, talking about the governors, the chief of armies, the services, and all those ministerials, are powers that ordinarily the president should be carrying out. But he now decided to delegate it to some people now to be able to do it on his behalf. So whenever those powers are being done or not being done, it is assumed that it is the president that is actually carrying. So he takes responsibility of whatever. Because that's why they give him the power to be able to appoint, to delegate all those powers. Hence, he even appointing himself as even the minister of petroleum, as he stands from the Constitution.
Thank you very much, Barrister Moses. Now, looking at what we've just enumerated, the issue of legislature, executive, and we're talking about separation of powers. Now, does National Assembly has the right to summon Mr. President?
Now, you see, the major problem actually entails from the wordings, the couching
of the draftsmen.
Not the mischief men now, not the draftsmen now. When I mean the mischief men, the political elites.
Please
now,
expatiate on
yes,
that.
I'm going to expatiate on that. When they say summon, people liken summon to be something that is more of a confrontational. Is more of confrontational from the political angle. Now, someone at this juncture of the president, to me, is likened to like more of an invitation, a friendly invitation. Now, if you look at section 88 of the of the 1999 Constitution and section 89, that is found under chapter 5 of the 1999 Constitution, which is under the duties, the powers of what? The duties, some of the functions now that the National Assembly carries. They have the right, they have the power, they have, by virtue of that provision, to be able to summon the
oversight function.
Now, that's why when they say oversight function, when they say oversight function, constitutionally, the major right, the major duty, the major function, the major power of the National Assembly is to make laws. That is primarily. Now, when they say oversight function, these are things they do ancillarily from their major power of making laws. Now they can decide to, by virtue of those sections 88 and 89, to say, okay, see, we've made laws for this, we want to make law for this. No, out of the law we've made, some 1 or 2 persons are actually infracting it. Okay, no, this law we made as if it's not sufficient enough. Okay, by virtue of 88, 89, okay, these persons now that, that these laws have been made, that have actually either, who has actually not live up to expectation from the laws that they made, they can say, okay, you and you come over. Let us even have a kind of a tete-a-tete. Let's just sit, discuss, and know how to be able to do what? To either uplift this law. Okay, if this is actually offending you by virtue of what we've done, can we now look into it? Can we sit and hear from you? You, the person, now carrying out those functions. What is the difficulty of carrying out this? Okay, explain to us so that we can see how to rejig this law. So that is where the issue of the summoning noun comes in. Now, if you're talking about the summoning, it's not for you to be called upon and be imprisoned or something. No, it's just for you to expatiate on the laws by virtue of section 4 that they've drafted. You understand? For the benefit of the masses that actually appointed them there.
And elected them.
You understand?
As well.
Yes, and elected them, you understand? To say, okay, go and represent us. We've made laws that is, for the benefit of the masses. Now, these laws are either being disobeyed. Okay, no, these laws are actually being used for the selfish aggrandizement of certain persons, which is issue of what? If you go down to the sections, you understand, with time we'll be able to quote it, you understand, for the benefit of our viewers. You see that part of it is, even if these laws are there, and you decided to now use the law now to enrich yourself, talking about corruption, these same persons can invite you.
Okay.
Yes, they have the power to,
yes.
No, not even to invite you and say, okay, we discover that out of this law that we made this, okay, this law is for the benefit of the people, but you are now using it to now be able to make money for your selfish interest, which is now trying to corrupt yourself. You understand? By virtue of the office you are occupying, that the law they made for your own office, you are now trying to enrich yourself corruptly. You understand? They say, okay, come and explain why this is so.
So it's a simple
So
invitation.
it's just a simple invitation, and the fact that they invite you does not mean that from there you'll be immediately moved to the prison. No, or there is nobody that can be sentenced to any kind of isolation that has to do with maybe like prisons also, without a court order. So if you are invited, it's just normal invitation that even the police extend to people, to the Nigerian masses. It's okay, you are invited. That's why when I started by saying that mischief political elites. They started to use the word someone to make it look as if it's one. Okay, you are now degrading
the president.
No, we're not talking about the president. We're talking about the office. And who created that office? It is National Assembly. So by virtue of that, they have the power to be able to do it to someone, to come and say, okay, there's an infraction.
There's a better word. It invites.
Yes, if you use the word, yeah, but the word actually from the section, it provides, if you look at section 88, it says someone. Now, where you now start saying there is a problem between what the National Assembly did is where you now say, okay, will be summoned.
You will expatiate on that when we come back from break.
I appreciate
it. Please do stay with us. Merry Christmas to you viewers, and welcome to the speaker. Pension is a benefit or monthly payment made to someone who is retired from work. But before someone is entitled to these retirement packages, it is expected that such individuals must have served faithfully and competently throughout his years of service. But in a situation where our political leaders clamor for political positions, one will be tempted to ask whether they receive pension or pen chop as retirement benefits. It is amazing how a country such as Nigeria is so much endowed with a lot of natural resources, yet Nigeria is one of the poorest countries on earth because of the primitive accumulation on the part of the political class. We are independent as a nation, so that our children will achieve a better and sound education. It is expected that a nation such as Nigeria should provide adequate and maximum protection of lives and properties of citizens. But Nigeria is now in the business of producing legislators in the name of legislators. Nigeria is now producing executives instead of executives. People are being killed without anything happening. Just recently, they kidnapped about 333 students of Kankara Science School in Katsina State. Don't we have resources as a nation to tackle these insecurity challenges? The perfect answer is that we have every resources in the world to solve these security challenges. But the huge cost of governance by the political elites have created enough vacuum and setback to the nation. Why should a former governor and his deputy continue to receive pension for life, knowing fully well that they have accumulated much wealth for themselves while in office? Is it not more grateful? It's more regrettable to discover that some of these governors make House of Senate and ministerial appointments their retirement homes, where they go and sleep their consciences away during plenary session and Federal Executive Council meetings. We must set the record straight that the essence of pension is to cater for people who have served meritoriously and to discourage the attitude of people who want to keep things aside for eventualities in case one is out of office and money is no longer available. In other words, pension is a way of maintaining a person outside office. But in Nigeria, especially political office holders are not discouraged from stealing public funds, even when they know that there would be packages for them when they leave office. Put differently, the pension for them has not been able to forestall their punitive attitude or their knock for treasury looting. The fact that you make pension available to former public office holders does not rid them of the greed that is prevalent among them. I therefore speak that if what pension is to achieve is now defeated, I really don't see why we should continue paying retired political office holders pension blindly. We have to stop that barbaric and obnoxious act forthwith and do that which is good and right. Else, we shall continue to be paying pen chop instead of pension. My name is Anozie Chinomso. I just want to speak. Glad to know that you are still there, dear viewers. Barrister Moses, before we went for break, we are trying to expatiate that the issue of the word summon used
was
by
rightly captured.
It's not that it's degrading the office of the president. It's an invitation.
To be able
and
to-
moreover, is in the constitution. So nobody
it is
should
provided
say
for.
that's exactly.
It is provided for. Now, if you look at what the word says, if we go to the word, the section 88,
Okay.
that talks about
Please.
the power, with your kind permission.
Yes.
I
So that we
beg,
educate our viewers
yes, so that they'll be able to
on
understand
points
that.
of
If
law,
you look at
yes.
it now, you see section 88
Okay.
of the 1999 Constitution,
Please read.
as amended. It says, now, subject to the provision of this Constitution, each, they didn't say the National Assembly body, because there is even an argument that, like the deputy, during their meeting, the annual meeting of the deputy with the Constitutional Review, that is talking about, with respect, Senator Omar Agege.
Okay.
He said, no, they are not even aware that the president is being invited. But the Constitution provides that. It says that subject to each house of the National Assembly, because this invitation was actually, extended by the Honorable Speaker. Honorable Bajabeme Amila. You understand? He was not invited. So yes, he said, based on even interaction, he says, each House of National Assembly shall have the power.
In this case, now both House of Representatives and House of Senate.
Separately. This is not it's not something that they can even do jointly.
So they have the right to
Separately. That's what the provision provides for. It says, have the power by resolution published in a journal or on the official gazette of the government of the Federation to direct or cause to be directed an investigation. You understand?
Yes.
Into all this. Now, if you now go further, not to, to take more of our time, if you go further, it says now, any matter or thing in respect of which it has power to make laws. So anything, any matter or thing, it has, with respect to which it has power to make laws. What was the invitation for? They were on two things. One, during the sitting, they had a meeting. They said, okay, it is better, that this issue of security is becoming an alarming stuff that even as a result of that, just recently, over 43 farmers
We
were
are just
killed.
slaughtered.
Were
Don't use the word
slaughtered
kill,
in Borno.
slaughtered.
Yeah, they were slaughtered. You understand? Because these are people that were talking about farming, that is about coming in, that is even approaching. These guys, they went to their farm, and before you know, all of a sudden, over 43. But the news carried 43, but they say over 43 were slaughtered. So out of it, and many other killings that actually happened.
Even the killing of in Benue State.
Yeah, you are even talking about even that same period along Zaria Kaduna Road. People were killed within the Jaji, that Jaji axis. And that same Jaji is where we have the power of what the seat of. There is anybody that goes for operations, there is anybody that goes as a military man that goes for intelligence operations that will not go for, a kind of a course in Jaji. So along that road, in the broad daylight, people were kidnapped and people killed within that period. So what is
And
it?
these are the things
And these are the
that
things they
only
say,
the
yeah,
president
come. We're talking about
explain.
security. Come. And apart from the issue of security, they also pass the law and say, see, if the president comes, we already say we're going to encourage him to pass what they call, to declare state of emergency. So these are the two major things. It's not even on security alone. They say now the essence of the passing of the state of emergency is for you now, the president, to be able to now seek external help. So without they having declaring a state,
also helping his
yes, that
office.
is it. That was even
Now,
and they even interrupted.
Now, Council.
Yes.
Do you think that Attorney General of Federation erred in law by advising the president?
Now
Yes.
you see that actually almost landed, because this is an interaction between the speaker with the president. They agreed. And he said, okay, I'm going to. That is even why the publicity, this woman, Henrietta on your chair, went on our Twitter and said, gladly, thank God, to be God be the glory, our president shall be addressing. They were the one that even started announcing that that shall be addressing.
Okay, he's senior special assistant on social media.
Yes, Oneche, that on the 10th, on that same day, Femi, no, not Gbajamila, sorry, the Additional.
Femi Additional.
Yes, Additional. Also, president spokesman, also that same day said, thank God on the 10th, the president is also going to do what? Address the people. So everybody was actually expecting that. What is there? It was even based on portion to their discussion after the meeting. In honor, in respect, they went to the president and said, this is the thing. And we even reached, we say, we're going to give you the power to declare state of emergency so that assistance can come from outside. He agreed. He obliged. But do you know where the problem came from? Not even from the Attorney General of the Federation. The problem came when they went for a fake meeting. That was where people, it was on record. The governor of Kaduna State, yes, the governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, and the governor of Ondo, the learned Sikh, Akeredolu, Rotimi,
former NBA president.
Yes, the president. You understand? Now said, why will you even allow? That was where it came from. On the 8th, they sat on the 8th. He said, why will you allow yourself to be ridiculed? Why will you honor an invitation? Do they even have the power? Look at it.
And it's coming from former president
I'm talking about
Nigerian,
yes, that's what I'm telling you. But do you know why? Do you know why we're not even, do you know why? We'll keep it till later. I will not be able to. I won't tell you now. But now, let me tell you. It was after that the Attorney General now was advised, and they said, look at, if you allow this man, my president, if you honor this invitation, do you know at the end of the day, yes, you will have what to say. But what about us, the governors? It will also be extended to us. Can we be able to defend ourselves? You understand? So that was where the issue of the president now decided, start thinking of, should I go, should I not go? That was where the Attorney General of the Federation now issued a press statement. He captured it, invitation of the president, full column. National Assembly has no power. Okay, the National Assembly misconstrued their power for the invitation of the president. He now read it. And you know what? Ironically, he based his right to advise the president not to come by virtue of Section 218. And if you go through the Section 218 of the National Code, what he says, he's talking about issue of security, the president being in charge of security and all those things. But if you go below, the same section again provides that the National Assembly has power to make laws for security from that same section. So you can see now.
I can see your passion.
You can see.
To see that this nation is good.
What
is your advice to the government and of course to the masses?
Now, generally, the advice, my advice is, you see, it's coming from the political elite.
Yes.
This country belongs to us all. The fact that they've been appointed and they made, they've been selected, they've been chosen, or they've been appointed as ministers, or some of them have been elected as the president, or the governors also. It is all ours. It is for our own good. So it is better the ill advice to our president and to the office holders is reduced, if it is not even stopped, for the betterment of our country. Because at the end of the day, look at it now, the massacre has extended now to the president's states. Do you know who state is going back to that will be next? You understand? So it is better we just do, so that at the end of the day we just don't give an advice that will shoot us by the foot. Then now for the masses now, it is better we keep fighting this. The Constitution provides for everything that we're talking about is misconstrued. The president can be summoned. The only thing that the president cannot be done against the president is for a issuance of summons. There are two different things. To be summoned
is different
from issuance of summons.
Please,
it is provided for
1 minute.
Yes, it is provided for now. Summons is something that you say, okay, come. Now, if you fail, that is where now issue of summons now will be extended to you. But because the president has been, he's been immune by virtue of Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, no issuance of summons on any proceeding or whatever from the court can be directed against the president, a governor, a vice president, and so by virtue of. by virtue of. So issuance and summons on its own is different, and it's all provided for. If you look at section 88 and section 89, with kind permission, if you allow me, I can just read so that you see the difference. Where it fails, where you say, look at it, it says, now the powers conferred on the National Assembly, now for the purpose of this investigation, for the purpose of investigating all these powers, now 89 says, for the purpose of any investigation under section 8 of, subject to the position of, therefore, the Senate of the Senate, you see, the Senate or House of Representatives or a committee appointed in accordance with this one shall have power to what? Procure all evidence. Look at it. Now if you go to D, procure all evidence. If you go to D, 89(1)D, because of our time, issue a warrant to compel. So this is the only thing the National Assembly cannot do.
But ordinary
someone, they can do, they can summon, they can invite you for the purpose of explaining. But if you wish, with kind permission, if you go to section 218, that the Attorney General, who is appointed by virtue of section 150 to be the keeper of what? Of laws. You know, the major, that's why people have been kicking, people have been fighting that this office should be separated.
Yes, from
minister and attorney general, because if you understand,
topic
for another day. So as it is now, can I just read section 2118 for you?
As we close.
Yes, 218, so that you now see. You can see. Look at what he based his argument on, the Attorney General of the Federation. He says section 218 that the powers of the President as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation shall include power to determine the operational use of the armed forces of the Federation. Now, the powers conferred on the President by virtue of subsection 1 of this constitution shall include power to appoint the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, these are the service staffs now.
Service chiefs,
the service chiefs now. The Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of the Air Staff, and heads of any other branches of the armed forces of the Federation as may be established by an act of the National Assembly. Now, the President, that is subsection 3. The President may, by directions in writing and subject to sub-condition as he may think fit, delegate to any member of the armed forces of the Federation his power relating to the operational use of the armed forces of the Federation. Now, subsection 4 says, the National Assembly shall have power to make laws for the regulation of the powers exercisable by the President as Commander-in-Chief of the armed forces of the Federation and the appointment of. So if you now just oppose this particular section back again to section 88 and 89, so what are we now saying? Anybody that has power to make all those things by virtue of 88, they are inviting you, come, by virtue of this, that will have powers to make laws by virtue of this. Come and explain. The money we've budgeted for, we've given you money, you've asked for this. So what is still happening?
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis Moses. I can see your passion. We're going to invite you again to expatiate on all these things.
My pleasure.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, my viewers.
Viewers, we have heard him, and you see the passion that he has, that this place or this Nigeria will be a better place. Protection of lives and properties of citizens is the beauty of governance. Any nation that is found wanting in this is a failed state. It is therefore the duty of our leaders to rise up to the occasion and provide maximum and adequate security to Nigerians. Fellow citizens, let us continue to keep our hope alive. Nigeria will be better someday. I'm still optimistic that someday our dreams of wonderful Nigeria, where peace, love and justice shall reign, will be a reality. This is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of the program. Until we come your way again, same time, same station. Remember, Jesus Christ is the reason for the season. A Merry Christmas to you. I am Anozechi Nomso, urging you to remain hopeful and faithful. And bye for now.